I'm going to be doing a video evaluation of my own work, my final piece for my promotional video unit. I've got two pieces that we made. We originally decided to do four, but then we figured two would be enough. One promoting Kyle as a person, and one promoting the business side of KG Fitness. I've spent the last month with Kyle, who is my brother, documenting and portfolioing him, and obviously making this video for his business. And I'm just going to be doing an overview of my final piece and telling you what I like about it, what I don't, and my final thoughts and what's changed from when we originally planned it at the start of May. Yeah, I think so. Um, but pausing it very, very early in because there's not a lot to talk. To be fair, there's not a lot I really want to talk about with this. It's just a case of a lot of the shots I've used, like I used to kind of flow with his body. So when he was on the bike, uh, I filmed it in such a way that the camera flowed with his sort of his body, showing like the full range of movement that his body had in the actual scene, and it was kind of led up to his face, and it was kind of that's how I wanted to get that flowing sort of arc shot. And then throughout both of these videos, I used text because we originally wanted to do audio, but then when we recorded it and I put it in, it was very, very cheesy, very very sort of simplistic, and it sounded unprofessional. It sounded quite childish. So we decided at the end of it not to use that because it just sounded awful. The actual audio quality was fine, but it just sounded corny. So we decided to use text instead because it's something it's universal. People can obviously like all read it and understand it, but it keeps it short, sweet, and simple, and doesn't take away from the video as much. And the font style of use was actually a large portion of editing as well, because like choosing an appropriate font style, colours, and everything sort of ratio. So I chose colours to match all the background because we filmed at the Warwickshire Shopping Park, Pure Gym up in Coventry, and obviously Pure Gym has a very white, blue, grey, black theme. So I wanted to keep in that sort of aspect with this, and then I believe I changed. No, I didn't. I kept it the same for the other video. Yeah, again, pausing it. Sorry, this is the only gripe I have with, I believe, with this one is that this shot was very not well done because obviously I had to kind of sieve my way through bikes. As you can see, it's not really like a straight path, but even then, I used a shoulder-mounted camera rig for this, but I didn't have the actual shoulder mount myself personally. Because that's got a weight on the back that kind of evens out the distribution of it. But no, I just used the actual main frame of the rig because it was lighter and easier to maneuver around the gym. So I thought that'd be easier and less cumbersome to use. But the only problem with that is obviously since I was using what was I using? I was using just a standard kit lens, a 55 to. No, yeah, I was. Yeah, I was just sorry. I was just using a kit lens for this, just because it was the easiest one. Because I only brought a wide angle and a 50mm with me, because I thought those would be the most commonly used ones for a gym. Because it gets the wide angle, obviously, to get a bigger sense of the space and what they were doing. Obviously, the 50mm for close-ups and more detailed shots, focusing on certain aspects or things or branding, whatever. And yeah, I used the kit lens because focusing was a big issue with this shot, because obviously weaving through, that was annoying. But then as I get close to the car, you'll see as I'm holding the rig, I've also got to go around and turn the focus ring to try and get it right. But then I never could get it right. I shot this about 6, 7, 8 times, and I just couldn't get it right every try. It just always just a little bit off, like a hair fraction off, and it just always bothered me. As you can see. Yeah, I also use the environment as well to help with the text. So like, when it comes to the last shot, like it was very hard to put text around because obviously it was very cluttered, with bikes and stuff. So I used the black background of the wall as I got closer to highlight the text a bit more. And then as we go on, you'll see I use the blue walls at the back to kind of separate, because it was a perfect separation from, like, for this part of the information I was saying that, you know, he's gone from 19 stone to 10 stone. It is like a perfect separation of him in the middle, and I thought it was a very well lit and very kind of good shot for what I wanted. So I wanted, obviously, the information on each box, which kind of shows the journey from this side to that side, and him perfectly in the middle, you know, showing his work, how he's came from this to that. Is yeah, this shot's just a little unsteady. It's the only gripe I have with this. There's another gripe as well. This shot was just a little bit unsteady. I had it pretty accurate because I brought a tripod with me. But the only issue, because obviously I was as I've stated in my planning for the shoot, I was at a public place. I was in a gym, obviously, so having space to, like, you know, set up and everything was very few and far between. And so I had to be very mobile and very sort of on my feet, on my toes kind of thing. So I didn't have a lot of chance to use the tripod to steady the shot. So I had to just use handheld for this, because this was a part of the gym where it's just absolutely cluttered with machines and people. Obviously, I don't want people to trample on my equipment or fall over or, you know, hurt themselves for legal reasons. So I went with handheld for this, and as far as, like, is the only thing I could have done really. You know, it's one of the things that I couldn't be helped, but I just wish I had a better alternative than handheld for this shot. Not a lot really to talk about those last couple of shots. I really like them all, to be fair. The sort of the panning shot around the shoulder press machine, I think it's called. I'm not sure. Shoulder press. I like that. The text in the middle, I feel like I could have done it differently. I did do it differently for the other video. I used a different, because I shot this multiple times and I used a different take for that. But I feel like this it's very intrusive, but at the same time I kind of like that it is intrusive, because it's sort of in your face and you can't really, you know, not acknowledge it, and it's obviously very strong caption, so I just sort of thought it was okay at the time. Now I'm looking at it, I think, oh, it is a bit, because it clashes obviously with his shirt, but I don't think that's that big of an issue. This took me a while to do, this sort of, because these are all photos I did, because what I wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out the time, because I couldn't find the setting for it on my camera, which is a 750D. I want to take burst shots, so I wanted to just hold down the trigger and just take a, you know, sporadic burst shot, so then it all flows a bit more sort of seamlessly, kind of looks. Yeah, so that's an issue I had with this. We shot this about 3 times, I think, and I got it working in the end. Not so much the burst shot, but I got it to a setting where it was quick enough that I got everything I needed, and it worked. And then I had to stitch them together, and that was in post editing. Post editing was, to be fair, fairly. It wasn't complicated in bits and areas, but it was fairly easy for the majority. I think this was the most complicated bit, which is stitching it together and having it run sort of with the song and matching it to the beat. But yeah, I think that's about as complicated as it got, really. I didn't really do a lot in terms of, like, heavy duty editing. Obviously, I touched up bits and bobs, but no, the reason I like this shot and the reason why I like it stitched together, because it was a different take on it. Because I was just going to have him do, I can't remember what is that. A push up. There we go. Jeez, a push up, and I thought, no, we can make this more interesting, make it more diverse, and make it look more appealing. So I wanted to match the movement to the beat, but I thought, how are we going to do that? Because it's obviously quite a fast beat. And so I decided, right, we're just going to take photos, then I can just sort of, like, as the beat, so I can, like, zoom in the actual, in post, I can zoom into the actual audio clip and find out where the beat hits each time, and then start and stop as it, you know, so I can match the image to when the beat stops to the beat starts, and then match the second image to when that stops and then it starts again. And then I've got all of his personal contact information, obviously, at the end of every video I've made, because, to help promote his business, obviously. And obviously, these are all the places you can find him. Yeah, I think that's about everything. I think I've covered everything about this. I think there's not really much else I can cover except for this last shot. What I wanted to do with the shoulder press again, this is a close up I did. This is a 1.8. What was it? This 1.8 aperture, and I was a 50mm lens, obviously, because it's got the shallow depth of field. Focusing on Carl's expression as he did the shoulder press, because I wanted to show, like, effort, strong work, that kind of general synopsis. And what I wanted to do, if you can see my mouse scroller, was I wanted to have the words come up here and then come up as he sort of lifted the shoulder up. But that proved more challenging than I thought it would originally, and so I decided to just put it in the middle, but then it sort of ruins the expression on his face, and now I look at it, I think, to be fair, there's not a lot of ways I could have done this. I couldn't really fit anywhere else without making the writing seem cluttered. So it's one of them situations. I'm not the happiest with it, but it's as of terms of best not as much the best I could do, but it just terms of making it look passable. I feel like it was well, and Kyle said he liked it and everything, so I got the pass on this one. So yeah, that's my first evaluation of one of my films.